Hey everybody, so today we're going to be talking about the Psychotherapy boss fight on controller. I've been wanting to make this video for a while because there's not currently a tutorial out, and there are also some strats I'm using specifically for controller, but more on those later. I'm going to be linking two things in the description of this video. The first one is going to be a guide to unlock the Psychotherapy boss fight. If you don't see this boss option for starting level or that secret boss checkbox in your speedrun options, it means you haven't unlocked it yet, and you have to do that through a casual playthrough with specific dialogue options. So I'm going to link a guide for that, and then I'm also going to link my gold IL fight for this boss. So it's kind of a long fight, and so for this video I'm just going to be walking through it step by step, but if you want to see all of it put together, you can go to the link there and see that. So getting right into it, the boss fight starts by just walking to the right here and mashing through this text. Basically, he's upset with you and revealing that they created drugs other than Kronos, so he's going to inject those drugs into himself, and then the rest of the fight kind of speaks for itself. Okay, so this is the first phase of the boss fight. There are 4 phases total. This phase, as with all the other phases, does have RNG elements, and so in this phase it's going to be basically around timing, but the position of the fists coming out of the wall is going to be the same every time, and so where I'm positioning 0 is going to be in kind of a good spot to be able to get both of them. If you miss any, it adds extra cycles onto the end, and if you get caught, you can mash your way out to not die, but it's still going to not count as taking the fist out. And then also gets progressively more difficult to get out, and so basically you just don't want to get caught. So here's my general flow for this section. Alright, so this is phase 2. Basically, we're going to be deflecting orbs in this phase, but there are 3 parts within this phase, and so the beginning is going to be the therapist. We'll just call him Psycho for the rest of this video. Psycho is going to be circling around at the top, and we're going to be able to deflect his orbs by going to the corner, crouching down, facing the wall, and slashing so that we're actually deflecting the orbs behind us. We're going to be deflecting 5 orbs total. And then he's going to be spawning in a random order at the top of the screen, and we need to watch for on the 2 rightmost Psycho clones which one spawns first, and wait under that one because we're actually going to be going for 2 deflects there. If we can do that, we'll only have 2 left in the final phase, so that we can deflect both of those orbs when he appears in a random spot on the screen. In the world record run, you'll see for keyboard and mouse they're able to deflect like 4 or 5 orbs in a row in the last part. I have not found a way that's possible to do that on controller, so this is what I'm doing instead. So you can see I missed the second one there. Unfortunately, the spawn was kind of bad because the 2 of them were right next to each other. Ideally, I would be able to deflect both of those. When there's only 2 of them, it's usually pretty manageable. But this is a good example anyways, because if you ever are only able to get 1 deflect on that second part, then you're going to have 3 clones to deal with, and so oftentimes I'll just go for 2 deflects and get the last one as a safety. Okay, so we're on to the 3rd phase of the boss fight. This is the easiest phase. Basically, there's these eyes that are spawning on the screen. These spawns are going to be random after the first phase, and so we'll talk about that and kind of go through one section at a time. It just keeps getting trippier and trippier, but it's nothing compared to the final phase of this boss fight. So the first phase, first section of the phase here, the eyeballs are going to be spawning in the middle of the screen, so we're going to stand a little to the right so we can jump up and get both of them in one slash. Okay, so now this is kind of straightforward. These eyes are going to spawn in a random position every time, so you just kind of need to look at the situation and try and figure out the fastest path to take out all of them. Okay, so now the screen is split into 4, but it's all duplicates, so just pick a corner and do the exact same thing. Okay, so this one is really confusing. there's basically it's split into 4 again, and they're sort of lapped over each other, but there's one that's upside down. Typically, I look for the blue 0 either on the bottom left or the bottom right, and just try and focus on destroying the eyeballs that are the same color as the 0 that you're focused on. And you can obviously ignore everything else because it's just duplicates. It can be really overwhelming, so just focus on your color that you chose and take out all those eyeballs. Okay, so this next section, you're upside down. And so this is actually one that's probably easier on controller than keyboard and mouse. But just think, jumping and going up is going to be moving down the screen. So it's pretty straightforward, just kind of weird. So kind of screwed that up a little bit. But this section, it's just like the first one, except that your slashes are sort of like permanently on the screen. So it's just kind of cool visually, but nothing new here. Again, all these spawns are random, so you got to pick your route as soon as you see the screen every time. Okay, so we have this little transition phase here between the eyes phase and the final phase. It's nothing difficult, but the point is you have to reset to get into the stable cycle for this fight. If you reset too early, it's going to take you all the way back to the beginning of the animation. So the best thing to do, I just spam slash, and as soon as I see that I can move, that's when I'm going to go ahead and reset. Alright, we are finally here. This is the final phase of the Psychotherapy boss fight. This is probably the hardest section because there are 3 hits you're going to need to land on Psycho, and if you die at all, it takes you all the way back to the beginning. And so the order of the different attacks is all going to be stable now. I think there's some RNG around like how certain syringes spawns and things, but it won't actually matter because of how we're going to be handling each of them. And so the only RNG that's really going to be impactful is on the brain spawns, and I'll show what those are in just a second here. But yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of stopping and starting again. This is a long section and kind of difficult, so I'm going to try and make sure I cover everything. So again, we did a reset. I go over this first syringe in the corner here and just jump and slash to kind of hold my position. Whenever these syringes appear in the top of the screen and come down, because they're going to do that more throughout the fight, I just stand on a far side, either left or the right, as far as you can go, and you cannot get hit, so it's safe there. Okay, so we have our first brain spawn. These are random both on the horizontal plane and the vertical plane, so where they spawn on the ground is random, and how high up the brain goes from its spawn is random. So you can have pretty bad RNG if the brains spawn really high. Ideally, they're going to be low. But the first section, there's only 3. The next 2 times this attack happens, there's going to be 4. So this one's the easiest, but we got to take out all 3 of these, and we want to do it quickly before the next thing happens. These brains are also going to shoot orbs, which you can deflect, but I typically try to avoid that and just take them out straight up. So for that arm that comes down with the syringe you saw at the end there, it comes down, you can just keep rolling from side to side. It's pretty easy to dodge. And you can see Psycho's spawning on the left here. If you give him too much time, he'll shoot out orbs, but you should be able to get to him and just go ahead and slash him as soon as he pops up. So now there's going to be 4 brain spawns that happen, immediately followed by more syringes falling from the ceiling. And so I wait on the right side of the screen to look for where that first one is going to go, and I try and basically cross all the way over to the far left so that all the brains are dealt with, and I'm in a safe spot by the time the syringes start falling. So just like that. Now what's going to happen is there's a whole circle of syringes that are basically going to come from the right, and they're all going to be basically going across the screen from where they start out. So I stay in the middle, I'm going to roll through to the right and then roll through to the left. So again, that's just another section of them dropping. Okay, so we've hit Psycho twice now. We're on to our last section. So this one is going to start out with the syringe arm that moves around, and then we're going to have 4 more brains to deal with. So you can see no new attacks, but we just got another one of those arms, another one of the half circles, and then the syringe is falling. Psycho's going to spawn one more time, and we'll be just taking him out here. Okay, so that's the end of the fight. Now you can just hold your analog stick to the left. This is all happening automatically. As soon as you get to the door, it's X and then A. Sorry, those were switch specific key bindings. Interact and then the other interact button, whatever that is for your controller. So that's it. That's the boss fight. As you can see, my time was really bad, but that's because I messed up a bunch of times trying to record this. My gold currently is I don't know why it doesn't say on here, a 244. So like I said, I'll link that below in the description. I hope this was helpful. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a while. It's kind of a tricky boss fight, and there's a lot to it, but that's also what makes it so much fun. So hopefully this helped, and let me know in the comments, or if you're on the KZ Discord, feel free to hit me up if you have any questions.